Morning, everyone. Sorry about the last video. It sounded probably sounded a little bland and dull because, well, I'm not that interesting. I don't know, that video was kind of poopy. I'll try to do better. I'm not really funny, interesting, or anything. Well, let's go see which ghostie we're gonna be haunting. Ooh, we're gonna go back down here. Wow. Okay. We're talking about that bone lady. Let's go down. Ooh, look at that. Can't wait to talk about that one. This one. Now I don't even know. It looks like a fish. Iwana Bozu. I don't know who this guy is. Iwana Bozu. He has a staff. It's Char Priest. Char. Isn't a char a type of fish? Well, its appearance, they are carnivorous Iwana, aka char, aka Latin. A kind of river fish that have turned into yokai. Cool. Now, I don't think I've ever eaten a char before. I've had salmon. I've had trout. I think I've had whiting, mostly. I've had catfish. But mainly we end up having is whiting or sometimes tuna, although it's just tuna in the cans. Anyway, so these fish, they walk up on human legs, just like one, two. Wait, they have legs, and they dressed as a Buddhist priest. I hate that word, Buddhist and priest. I end up saying priest. Anyway, they are found in the mountain streams where the people fish for Iwana and other river fish. River fish! Anyway, fish is not my favorite, but I will eat it a lot more than I will eat pork. So these people, well, Iwanas, aka chars, so Iwanas, they live in rivers and streams high up in the mountain. The Iwana survive for many years and grow into an enormous size. So the ones who grow huge, they end up becoming one of these. A lot of them are like that. They're like, after a certain amount of years, or if you get big enough, you get to turn into that. Well, anyway, these characters actually apparently learn to transform into human shape, leaving their rivers and can even speak. Well, if you've been around the river long enough, you would definitely be able to speak human language. Ooh, wow. There's a lot for this. Anyway, so these guys appear out of nowhere and just ask people who are fishing to just... okay. They usually approach people catching more fish than they need to survive. Right there. Catching more fish than they need to survive, rather than those who are just feeding their families. Okay, so if you want to catch about, I don't know, maybe, I'm not sure how much they feed their families, because in Japan, especially back then, it was always mom, dad, and I'm assuming 1 or 2 kids. I don't actually know what the thing is. I do know back then, China had a law that was basically 1 child only, period, in the story. And if one of them happened to be twins, they have to either leave the kid somewhere, or I think they end up killing him. I'm not sure. But I'm not sure about Japanese laws from the past. But the point is, how many fish is more fish need to survive? This goes back to one of the videos I was trying to make, where back then they hunted certain things, and about 1950s, 1930s, they had a huge haul of fish. Then 1970s they had a medium-sized it, and then like 1990s, 2000s they had a small bit of fish in a net because we were overfishing, over hunting, and we were also overpopulating the whole planet. We need to have a god. We need to have like a yokai god like this across the entire world. Hey, like you have a a deer god or a boar, and then he comes up and says, "Stop hunting! You've hunted enough! Get out of here!" That would be so funny. Then people are like, "Oh no, and then that means what that would mean everyone would have to learn how to shoot and hunt and fish, not just hire 25 fishermen and say, "Go fish for the whole world." Then every human being would have to learn to fish for their family. The question though is, would we survive? I don't know. Anyway, continuing. They target those with extreme measures of fishing, and including those who poison the river with Japanese pepper? Yeah, I'm not going to say that word either. Is this Japanese or is this Latin? Xantho. I'll say xantho. Xantho is called Japanese pepper or Japanese prickly ash. Okay. And they are basically, let's see, is an aromatic spiny shrub or small tree of the citrus. Clicked on the picture. This is the pepper. And this is the plant. This one. Well, anyway. So that causes fish to float to the surface and make them easy to capture. They lecture. They're just sitting there with a stick. You want to just beat the fuck out of them. No. They lecture about refraining from needless killing and taking life only if it's needless necessity for survive and blah 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 blah. Some of those anime characters where like there's a teacher's like, sit down over here and smack him right across the head, and then they're like sitting on their legs and listen to me now, and they go blah 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 blah. Anyway, they lecture because they dress and speak in a manner that resembles a Buddhist priest. They are usually not immediately recognized as a yokai. Wow. It is only until later, after departing, that something feels off or strange, and you realize that person you thought of was in fact a yokai. Now, this guy isn't evil. The question, though, again, as I probably said in another video, are yokais actually evil? This guy isn't. There's just people like saying, you must lecture this, you must learn this. Anyway. That would be so weird though. You come up across someone, there's all of a sudden like there's this whiff person, and you know like those furries, and it's like blah, 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 and it's like, oh, that was just a man in a furry costume, and then you're like, no, that wasn't. That was a real fucking alien. What the shit? We gotta get out of here. Anyway, origin. So these stories are found all around Japan. Some areas. Some other fish species, such as yamame and unagi. So that means eel. What is this? I don't know. Yamame is in Naruto. That's not what I'm looking for. I'm talking about. Okay, that was pointless. Let me look at this one, just because I'm bored. Search. Other fish species. Oh. Why don't I just say salmon? I like salmon. Salmon's good. Anyway. And I never had eel though. I've had squid ink. That's yummy. Anyway, these are also able to transform into people and admonish humans against the cruelty. Lecture. These stories are so severely detailed, but they all follow a similar pattern, common to all of them at the ending, in which the fish is killed and cut open, and content of its stomach reveals its yokai nature. Oh. No, didn't need to hear that. So human beings, we are so filth that we would actually just come up to someone come up to us and say, "You're doing this wrong," and then we'd go up. It's when they turn their back, they just go behind their back and kill them. I go, why? Why? You do that to your own kind. Actually, the question is, do other species do that? Do wolves? Anything that has sharp teeth and claws? Do bears? Do lions? If someone turns around, a wolf, and they just warn them or just leave, does another wolf attack them from behind when they are about to leave? I'm not sure. Well, anyway. Here's the legend. That'd be so funny if we could make a Japanese legend of this, in a movie. Long ago in Gifu, I already talked about Gifu before. Gifu! There it is. Gifu's right down here. Yeah, I already talked about this place before. Anyway. Several young men were fishing on the stream. They were using poison techniques to catch a variety of fish. You know the thing about that? If you poison the fish, you're killing yourself though, dumbass. While they took a break for lunch, a Buddhist priest with a shiny bald head suddenly appeared out of nowhere and approached the group. The priest asked the young men if they were fishing with poison. They said yes, they were using poison. The priest asked them to stop in that manner. It was a bad way for the fish. It's cruel and causes excess death, which is sin. The young men protested that they had their own livelihood to think about. But the priest persisted and admonished them for, taking unnecessary life. Eventually, out of politeness, they agreed to stop fishing with poison. The priest seemed satisfied, and then they offered him some dango. The priest graciously accepted and then left. After they finished their lunch, they went back to fishing. Despite what they were told by the police, they had the priest, not the police. Oh my gosh. They apparently had no intention of stopping. Oh, I wonder why. Humans. Anyway. Then, the largest fish I'd ever seen, 180 centimeters. Wow. That is 1.8 meters. For retrospect, I'm taller than that. I'm about 1.89, so it's probably about 5.5 feet tall. Oh, my battery's dying. Anyway, where was I at? So, this thing appeared. They threw more and more, and were able to catch this giant-ass guy. Gleefully, the young men returned to the village with a huge catch. They made a feast of the giant fish. As they prepared, they cut open its stomach and tumbled the dango that they gave in the priest. The young men were so frightened that not one of them was willing to eat the fish. That's gross. But there you go. So, I don't know what the purpose of sacrificing himself for the fish was, other than just to freak out the people. But that is freaky. You go out and say, "Hey, stop doing this," and says, "Yes, sir," and then they're like saying, "Fuck you," behind the back, and then he said like, "Surprise, motherfucker, I gotcha," and it's like, "Oh, cool fish," and they're like, "Oh my god, that was who I was talking to. I was talking to what? No, I'm done. No more." It's the same thing as how you're supposed to learn. They say they learn by doing, and then you also learn by fear. They say fear always works. It is a type of fear tactic just to prove to them that these people are or are not good or kind. The question is a human being actually morally good? Because they say a human being requires not commitment, attachment towards another human being. Are we human beings really morally good? Are we sinful? Are we greedy? Are we just monsters? I don't know. But I've never went fishing. I've never went on a kayak or on a boat. I would like to. I would like to know what it's like. But I don't have anybody who is willing to take me. No one would be like, no one's around me. I don't know anybody. No one wants to go fishing. Oh well. I guess I just had to take my word for it. But if you do have any fishing stories, anyone who watches these videos, I would really like to know what you think of fishing.